Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're live.
All right. So on this on this episode of Oceans Apart podcast, we have the long-awaited guest, Dan Morrissey, my father. Because Artem's mom made an appearance in one of them,
Dude, let's forget about
and Artem decided to not have me on for the last one. So
I didn't watch it.
okay, there you go.
Back when
That's
I'm
support.
not watching it.
That's support.
That's awesome.
Your dad doesn't do that. I don't know what to tell you. But are you allowed to give like a background on where you work and what you do?
Yeah, sure.
All right, go for it.
I'm the director of admissions at a boarding school in Central Mass called Cushing Academy. Known for our athletics, right? Our hockey team's elite in the U.S. kind of hockey world, and our basketball team, boys and girls hockey and boys and girls basketball are really good. So it's heavy sports, and we send a lot of kids to Springfield actually. And every time the Springfield college rep comes to visit campus, I give him a little bear hug and tell him how great it's been. I said, you know, Artem, he's the best.
That's true.
I don't know how to put my background. You guys have the blurred background. I want to have that.
If you go down to the bottom right.
Yeah, go to
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, there we go. Now it's super professional.
Alright.
And Dad, are you a published author by chance?
Well, as a matter, I got to look like you guys right there. Now, that was wearing a hat.
Cap, yo. wait, I got you.
Oh.
Yo, get real with this, man.
Oh, good.
All right, 1 minute.
Oh man, this is awesome, yo. Oh god.
Where are you?
I'm in Sweden right now.
Wow. There we go. All right. I got that uniform. I brought my uniform with me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
All right, published author. Ooh.
You okay?
Yeah, you author. You know,
Yeah.
what's your book about?
My book is about setting goals. It's a goal-setting curriculum for high school age students. There's a lot of data out there that if a student has kind of a place a life theme or a place where they're targeting, that things fall into place for them. They're more able to manage their time, manage their study skills. Their self-confidence rises when they're able to achieve goals. So in 2010, I put all that into a book, and it got published in 2012. The guy who promised to publish it passed away, so it took an extra year. I felt horrible, but anyway, there it is. So and it's I have a copy for it, teaching clarity, purpose, and innovation. There it is. Huh?
It's blurring it out because it's your background. It thinks it's your background and not you.
Teaching clarity, purpose, and motivation. It's on Amazon, and on page I'm going to find the page that on page 10. I thank Declan Morrissey and his siblings for allowing me the time to write the book. So it was a blast. It's something I recommend. Like, I learned so much doing it, and this quarter I've made $7.94 on royalties from the book. So it's I'm going to be a rich man.
Eventually.
Me all over the country, so I didn't realize what would happen. But when I wrote the book and I presented at conferences and stuff, people would then email me or call me and say, "Can you come to my school?" So I've consulted with schools in all the New England states, in Ohio, in California, in Texas, in Florida, in Saudi Arabia, in Korea, in Hong Kong, in China. So in Africa, it's taken me all over the world, and that's been a blast. So And that helps me pay the tuitions at Springfield College.
Where the no, it's there.
Yeah.
Nope. This. Do
Oh,
this.
it's like that, right? Okay.
Like this.
That's what I'm doing, Mary.
Sure.
Okay, man.
So,
I don't know what I was gonna say. So what age do you start like a goal setting trend at for kids? Is it middle school? Is it high school? Do you start at college? Is it variable? Do you just meet the kid where they're at?
yeah, it's a good question, and it's where they're at. So, you know, there are kids who are in 5th and 6th grade who you can set a goal with anyone, right? It depends. You know, you're going to make it through the next 10 minutes without picking your nose, right? That's a goal, right? That might be appropriate for a 5-year-old. But there are kids who can set academic goals, athletic goals, as early as probably 6th grade and be able to internalize it. I focus on high school because that's where my experience has been, and that's where all the data I did research on. I'm sure there's research for the middle school level as well, but I work with high school students, and so that's what I know. You know, I think that I'm thrilled to be on this, and I watch all of your podcasts. Thank you. But I always hear you talk about the strength and conditioning programming always starts with where the athlete is. So what his or her weaknesses are, what his or her strengths are, what his or her goals are, and then what the requirements of the sport are. You know, I hear you guys talking about that every time you do one of these, and it's no different, right? And so I think it's so important that you just don't throw a program at a kid in the strength and conditioning world that you say, all right, look, you know, you're really good at this. We don't need to work so much on this, but you're not really good at this. And then what are your goals? You know, and so you've done the testing, right? You've assessed, you know what the sport needs, and then you guys are both laughing at me. Why are you laughing at me?
Well, I think Artem is laughing at you for a different reason than I am, because I want to, you know, you seem to know a lot about this, Dad. Have you ever been a CSCS with distinction?
I was a CSCS with distinction, and I lost that. I lost that because I stopped going to continuing education. I got into a different world. So, but you know, about this one like right over here.
Man, they're bigger than yours, mate. That's not good.
I know he's bigger than I am. I mean, look, you know, because you didn't do it for yourself, people need to be aware that, you know, you can run at least a half marathon.
Half marathon. And
then chug a beer without then throw up, but you can do that.
Yep. I would say that the recovery wasn't the best.
And let me see what else. I mean, you ever been an athletic trainer?
Yeah, I've done it all, man. I've done it all. You ever seen your father's underwear? So yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, I have. I've done it all. I used to teach anatomy physiology, and so what's that?
I have a question that, like, with the goals in that, like, is there a step-by-step process that you take and you know, students or athletes through, or is it kind of just more individually based? You kind of do one way with one person and another way with a different one, or
yeah. So again, you have to read your audience, right? You have to know who you're working with, and there is a step-by-step process, and I think it starts with value. I'm going to take my hat off because it just looks too bad. It starts with values clarification. So at the high school level, at least, who am I? You know, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? And then from there, you branch into goals. And if possible, if you can graduate from goals, I'm a big mission statement person. So if you can graduate from goals and get a teenager or a young adult to write a mission statement, who am I? What do I stand for? That evolves over years, but starting that process at 18, 19, 20, 25 is really important. And I don't know if people know what a mission statement is, but it basically says what you do, what you stand for, who you are. Another way to call it is purpose statement of purpose.
I know that there are a lot of people out there who are listening from Springfield College. There are like 2 people listening from Springfield College, but surprisingly, the mission statement of Springfield College is not spirit, mind, body. It's something like it's something about the humanics philosophy, or I don't remember, and no one can recite it, and everyone just says spirit, mind, body. But hey, fun fact about Springfield College.
Oh, there's a mission statement, and a different way to do it is a tagline.
Yeah.
Right. And so taglines work for us too, right? For people, individuals too. You give yourself a tagline, right? Bigger, faster, stronger. Did he just pass out?
No,
he's just doing something.
I'm just turning on the heat. It's like right below me.
Oh, did he just pass out?
So, the thing. So Springfield College, I think it's been great for Declan, and I'm speaking to those listeners now. And as an educator, so my whole career has been in boarding schools. In boarding schools, what you try to do is get kids to be active right away, right? And the preponderance of evidence that says that you've got to have regular, vigorous daily exercise is overwhelming, right? So it's so important to exercise every day. For it stabilizes mood. It helps your diet. It obviously helps your heart rate, blood pressure, all those things. Managing stress, sleep cycle. When we walked on campus, Declan, you probably don't remember it. First of all, there's no one who looks like me at Springfield. There's no bellies there, right? So everyone's at least somehow fit, right? Go on.
Yeah, no, you recently reminded me of this story. That's why I know what you're talking about.
And the other thing that happened is every student leader in their stupid little beanies walked up and said, what do you do? Hey, are you a freshman? What do you do? What do you do? So the expectation was explicit that if you come to this school, because you are coming to this school, you're going to be active. And that's been a hallmark, Declan, of your career there, right? You have with the Ironman sports and the internships, I call it a proctor. What do they call it? RA ship.
Oh yeah,
it's been great, and so I really applaud Springfield. And that they didn't train those kids to ask that question on day one. What do you do? What do you do? It's just the question that gets asked when you walk onto that campus. You have to do something. So, anyway, enough with my ad for Springfield there. Woo!
Well, fun fact about Artem is he doesn't own a stupid beanie.
To the annual fund. What did you say?
Artem doesn't own a stupid beanie. He owns a pretty sweet bucket hat because he was a transfer student. No?
How do you do it?
Yeah. They give transfer students bucket hats instead of beanies, which is way cooler. So they really reel you in there.
What do they do with graduate students?
They don't do anything with graduate students.
Come on.
That's bad.
There's a whole industry for you then. Get those graduate students, make some hats for them. Oh.
I don't know if I can go against tradition like that. It's only first years that wear those things.
You loved that beanie that first day, Declan.
It's been burned. All right. I mean, you know what? What's the podcast that you keep telling me about that they had his father on? What's it called?
You talking to me?
Yes.
They had whose
Barstool Sports one?
Oh, Barstool Sports?
Yeah.
Spit and Chicklets.
Okay.
Spit and Chicklets.
So have we surpassed them now with the content that we just provided, or what?
You guys are heavy content and heavy science, which I really like. They are more pop culture, and they're a little misogynistic. So you don't go there, and I really appreciate that. That you're not on the on the internet, on the internet's being, like that. So, all
All
right.
right. That was, you know
Peace.
what? That was.
Hello.
So you kidding me? No.
Hold on.
You had that there for the entire time just to do that? Oh my
All right.
That's just wow. That's just wow.
No, it's here. Do you see him? Hey, Declan. How are you?
That's dedication.
I gotta go. All right. So, did you get the Eric Cressey email today?
Yeah, about the dark side of supplements.
No. I'm gonna leave you guys with a something to talk about. So, I'll forward it to you.
All right.
It's the study every trainer and coach should read and understand. It's from April 24th, 2018. And he talks about the study does a movement guided fitness, MOV. In other words, it talks about they studied the difference between giving someone a program and just having them do it on their own,
Okay.
or giving them someone a program and a coach. And
Okay.
obviously the people who had the coach did so much,
Yeah.
and were able to strengthen and have it was done on firefighters, so they're looking at injury rates.
Okay.
Their injury rates plummeted. It's really good. I'll forward it to you. But I was thinking that's the basis of my book and kind of what you do in high school, right? You just can't say to a kid, go do this. You got to teach them how to do it. And when I was in the strength and conditioning world a long time ago, before you guys had all the we didn't have the science you have now. My whole thing was you have to teach a student strength and conditioning is an actual movement pattern that needs to be taught. So anyway,
Dad, name drop the guy.
who's that? Eric
Name
Cressey?
drop. No, name drop the other guy that you know. The other big Massachusetts-based guy that was
Boyle?
at BU. Yeah, name drop him. Yeah, were you friends with him?
We worked together.
There you go. Did you know that, Artie?
Wait, didn't you who like?
Dad
worked with Mike Boyle.
Oh God, not Mike Boyle, man.
What? I'm not getting. He was, in 1988, he was cutting edge, as was I. But it's been years. So
Boom. Right there. That's what you come from right there. Oh, I got the email.
check it out. It's a really interesting article, and I think it fits right in with what you guys are doing. You just can't program. You have to teach. And when I hear you guys talking, I hear a lot about your clients and about your athletes. There's a lot of teaching going on. So,
Well, I appreciate that.
all right.
So I think
I'm gonna hang up, but I don't know how to. Will I stop the recording, or will I end the whole thing?
hey, we'll see what happens. Just hit that red button,
All right.
and we'll see what happens.
Have a
There
great
we go.
you guys. Thanks for including me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on, Dad.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Boom. There you go.
Still recording, man.
All right. I don't know if he knows, but he just gave himself such a good video resume. It's not even funny. Like he just dropped so much knowledge and then left.
Man,
That's sick.
me.
What? Is your girlfriend texting you again?
No.
Get away from the screen, you fucking.
Dude, but like I'm trying to. There's like a bug.
All right. Well,
He's dead though.
okay.
There you go. Yeah.
So, all right. I mean, I'm gonna forward you this forward so that you can read this article. And I'm gonna literally while you're reading this article, I'm just gonna kind of go off on what I know about this.
All right. Sounds good, mate.
I just emailed to your Springfield email, so.
I was just checking my Springfield email because I'm like, it
Boom.
told me first it was like, it's I can't log in. I'm like, what? Have they canceled my
Oh,
Springfield
okay.
email? Like, you sons of bitches.
First off, I just want to. If Eric Hogan is watching this, he and I are texting right now, and I sent him a video of a buddy of mine deadlifting with some serious thoracic flexion and lumbar flexion. He was flexed, and he responded, thoracic flexion with a deadlift bar is God's affliction. And I responded, God's warriors have been chosen. So if you wanna come at me with how deadlift bar is cheating comments, you can, because I love that bar. And I had a dream last night that I deadlifted on that bar and pulled like 600 pounds for like 8 reps. So that's what I dream about. Anyways, wait, can you get in your Springfield College email after graduating?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the study right now.
Boom. All right. So, my first thought when he said that was really that I think a lot of people are moving towards, and I'm a little upset he didn't tell a Texas story, but he seemed uncomfortable with it on the phone, so we're not going to go there. But, so people who, like, generally right now, I think people are moving towards a partially online, partially in-person, strength conditioning program and regiment. I mean, that's pretty much how Iron Sports works, is that, I mean, like, I'm not stupid. I know that like 90% of them don't do the program, not in the weight room. Like, I have eyes, like I can see them not doing the program, but when they're in the wellness center. But like, I think it's different for people who, right, like they've come to me just to like use the varsity weight room and like get trashed like 2 days a week. You know what I mean? So like that's really what they're looking for. But I think it's like a little different for people who are have actually like started to work with a coach for a specific purpose. And I think, it benefits the coach a little bit, because then you're not, you can actually take up more clients if they're seeing you 2 times a week, and then like another 2 days a week on their own, or whatever, and you can set your price point a little lower, but then make more money than you would training just in-person clients. And, like on the other hand, you can do other things like, write your book, research a little bit, read, have a really long training session, all that other stuff. And, as like a final little thought here for my end of this discussion, Artie, like Greg Nuckols has been hammering out content in the last like 2 years about how like scripted versus unscripted periodization like is better and worse respectively. So like if you have a planned out week of S&C and lifts, then you're going to get more results than if you like walk and you have a like an undulation of intensity and volume and stuff. And then if you just kind of walk into the gym, you're like, I'm going to deadlift heavy today, and you deadlifted really light the last 3 weeks because you just didn't feel like deadlifting heavy, So yeah, I just thought of something else. I'm sorry. But I think in the most recent podcast, Ben House brings up a study that I actually read and forgot about, which is that like tracking HRV actually speeds up training, which is kind of funny. I don't think it's in trained individuals. Like, I don't know if you or I could do this, realistically speaking. I think it might slow our training down, but how they laid out the study was you had, I don't even know what it was anymore, but like 30 sessions to complete or something like that. And then they tracked their heart rate variability as like a stress measurement over time. And basically, like if you did day 1 on Monday and then you woke up on Tuesday and you were recovered enough to do day 2, then you do day 2. And then a different group just spaced out the 30 sessions over like 10 weeks or whatever it was. But like, so it helped, and the HRV group got done like 2 weeks earlier or something like that than the non-HRV group, which is kind of interesting. So like it just seems like some sort of plan and guidance with training like enhances performance, or like goal attainability.
Yeah.
That's like a phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was actually talking to, I think it was my stepbrother. Like, he was asking about it because whenever I coach like in group settings, like I was like group instructor or something, like I go I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I usually just if they do something incorrectly, I just let them do it incorrectly, kind of, because it's like I don't see them that much. It's like I can't really, put in the time to really correct these things. I'm like, I'll tell them like, think about this, but to really go in depth on that, that's what I think. Like this definitely falls off. But I think if you have the opportunity to do this, then it's actually really good. Just because, as in the study I just finished reading as well, is it's like it's, I feel like it becomes unconscious as well for the athlete. Like once it kind of gets in them into their system, it's like it's part of them now. So it's kind of like riding a bike. It's always there. Even if you go away from it, it's like you can come back to it pretty simply. And so I think it's a really good thing. Like if you have the possibility now, let's say just take these things off, man.
All right.
I think like I said, like if you have the opportunity, then it's really awesome to actually take the time. But kind of as well as I was talking with Kyle on the last episode.
Didn't watch it.
Huh?
Not even pretend like I watched that. So.
yeah. But like I talked with Kyle on the last episode, it was that you can't have somebody talk to you about PRI. You can't have someone like talk to you about PRI. Because like if you work with PRI with a client, you come in and you do green with them for 20 minutes or even 10. It's like they're paying you to do personal training. If you're going to somewhere like physical therapist or something, then like it's a more okay for that. But it's like you have to think about the setting and like what is your job and like what is that person there for? Like, are they there to work out or they're there to improve their breathing? So it's like it's setting based.
I literally had this conversation with Michelle Boland yesterday. Yeah, and so she and I kind of talked about that a little bit. Is like like PRI uses like that's the thing. Like, has Kyle been to a course?
I don't know. Like I know he's known about PRI for 4 years, but I don't know if he's like been to a course or anything. But I think he's kind of the stuff, the basics.
And I know that like what it is, but you've never been to a course.
No.
And so like I don't know what I was gonna say. Fuck. Yeah, she and I were kind of talking about that too, where it was like, man, I'm just gonna have to name drop all over the place. So yesterday, today's Saturday. Yesterday I was in strength conditioning class, and Maura Bergen, one of the best people I know, because she's great. Okay, goodbye. She talked about how like you have to know the rules in order to break them, and like that's kind of how I feel about PRI. Is like you gotta like know exactly, not exactly because PRI is hard, but like you gotta know generally what you're doing in order to break the rules, and I think that involves like going to the courses and stuff like that. And so then like the other thing is like choosing like how you use it, because with like Johnny is a perfect example. And to give everyone like a kind of quick background, like this kid is he's not even like that extended. He just like can't flex well, and he can't squat. So like, right, in like Bill Hartman's model, he can't like, he can't like flex his anonymous, and he can't counternutate his sacrum well enough to, which like is an extension pattern. Like his lumbar spine is extended because of that, and and he's got a flat T-spine, and like he's he presents like pretty classically as like a PEC right BC, and like and he has pain syndromes just coming out the ass. Like he just, I think in the time I've known him, he's had left low back pain, he's had right piriformis syndrome, he's had like his right hamstring is been iffy, his left hamstring has been iffy, his like chest hurts, like everything that's wrong with him that's possible, like you could do. Like he has pectonicity bilaterally. Like he can't flex his spine well, and he can't squat well. And like literally it's been just like last semester and this semester of just like hammering away with this kid, and he's strong as an ox. He only weighs like 140, and he squatted like 325 or something like that last semester, and it was like good.
Strong, yeah.
He's an ox. Like I think he benched 225 last semester at some point. Like he's an ox, and like refuses, but like will actually tell me if he's in pain, which is like beautiful, because like that's who I want to work with, is like oxes who like will tell me if they're in pain. But
shots fired towards a certain T and J.
yes, sir. Well, he's not an ox, but like.
Oh, but like just tell the people if you're in pain.
Yeah. So like, dude, if you look, if you stand up, all right, from your third attempt squat, and you're like, can't feel my legs anymore, then you tell someone. Like, you don't just stand there and like, it's like, yeah, I'm good to bench. Like, no, you tell someone. Anyways, changing hats.
Oh yeah. Bill
Hart.
Is it actually his hat though?
No. It's a powerlifter's hat.
Thank God.
And so what else? And so like Johnny will tell me he's in pain, which is like every practice. And so like I've modified the program pretty heavily for him. Like his deadlifts are all raised. Like I think he's just starting on like deadlifting for realsies, this week off of like some blocks. His front squat, I just had him start front squatting on a whim, basically, and it was like beautiful. It was like basically like it was one cue and like boom, he's there, and like what Dad said with like the learning stuff, like that's what I think so much of it is. And like and that's kind of what I go through too, like if I'm coaching a group, or like like when I was at Gain, like with a lot of clients there, like it's just asking yourself like, okay, is this load really appreciable for someone who's going to get hurt? Like, is this going to be a load that injures someone? Are they going to increase the load? Can we do something about this? And like 9 times out of 10, I would say, yeah, I'm going to do something about this, and it's like, and literally it's only been decreasing load with Johnny, because like sometimes he waits a few weeks to tell me, because he like wants to know if it's serious or not, which like I kind of appreciate, so, because if you had someone tell you immediately, like during a hypertrophy phase, like I'm in pain, then you're like, you're inflamed, like I don't know what to tell you, like yes, you're going to be in pain. Sucks. But what was I gonna say? With but so like at Gain, it was like, all right, like this is not good, and sometimes just like a physical inability to do so, because like whenever and you like sometimes like realizing that is the hardest thing to do, because like whenever I'm like, hey, sit back in your deadlift, I have monkey arms. Like it's no problem for me to sit back into a deadlift, because like my legs are really long, my torso is short and fat, and my arms are really long. Like I can sit back into a deadlift no problem, and my spine is naturally flexed. So it's like, dude, I got this. You know what I mean? Like I'm built to deadlift.
Yeah.
And like whenever I look at my numbers, I'm just like, dude, I'm so like just like I hate myself so much, because if you look at the videos from the last meet I did, like my max effort squat was like, well, my third attempt squat was max effort. Third attempt bench I didn't get, so obviously it was super maximal effort. And my third attempt deadlift was like, I could have pulled it for 3, like easily. And so like it's like a nice like estimate of my max, which is sad. So yeah, but so I'm just like built to deadlift. Yeah. And so like when I say like sit back in the deadlift, I'm like, dude, this is gonna be easy for this person. Then it's like you look at the person like, they've got short arms, they've got long legs and a short torso, like they're not gonna be able to do this, and like I have one person in mind specifically when I'm like who I'm saying like I'm thinking of. But so it's like with that individual, it's just like I'm gonna raise their deadlift, because like it's just like knowing, it's just guessing like what you think is gonna give them a better movement pattern. And like that's kind of like how I roll, is like if I put back squat on the program, like it's liquid, it's not It's not a hard and fast, like, this is how you're gonna squat, and like, I'm sure you saw this last semester where like I had girls squatting with goblets, I had them squatting with like a Zercher squat, I had a back squat, I had a front squat, like, I had dudes doing the same shit on iron sports. Like, it was all different, and like, because they were all like a little injured or a little like just not experienced with it,
Yeah.
So yeah, like I just, yeah.
No, yeah, like on that, because I don't know if you said you've seen like Davidson talked about this like in one of our episodes about this like specific thing was like for him, like this woman was talking about the squats for example, and it's like, um, and where tempos is a really good thing to do for people to kind of get the movements and, for example, kind of understand like how to do them properly because like usually it's like there's like a sticking point that people don't want to be in, and by doing tempos, like you're forcing them to sit in that position and kind of really, become comfortable there. And like some people are just more comfortable in certain positions, while others are more comfortable in different ones. It's like, but yeah, that's definitely like kind of you have to just know who you're working with basically, and then like you've been doing with Johnny, just adjusting it, like you're doing on boxes and stuff. But I even actually read somewhere this dude saying that you should only lift off like 1 inch bottles or something. Like the only time you lift from the ground is when you go to a meet, and I'm like, I don't really know too much about powerlifting, so I can't really like know if that's like valid advice or not valid advice, but I just thought that was interesting, like just the thinking behind it.
That's a super West Side Barbell thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they have notoriously weak deadlifters.
Yeah, that's kind of figured, man.
Like they like, and I say weak deadlifters and they're like pulling 800 pounds, but they're squatting like 1,000 pounds and they're benching 1,000 pounds and then they're pulling like 8. And I get it, it's the end of the meet and you just put your body through some shit, but like, like you should be stronger.
Yeah.
In this pattern, so like they just have notoriously horrendous deadlifters as compared to absolute numbers. But yeah.
I don't know. Like, honestly, with the deadlift, man, like even like you might know more about this, but I even saw like I don't remember like there wasn't a study, but someone was talking about like how if you, well, actually maybe referring to a study, I don't remember exactly, but if you only pull, so like you pull from the ground, and then you go say you come up to your knees are just above the knees, and that's like when you stop, you just like pull in and put it back down. So it's kind of like just kind of half a rep thing. And you're just doing that, and like by that, like that's actually gonna help you increase your numbers on the deadlift. But like I've never done that, so I can't really say. Maybe you've tried something similar.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, well then you have.
And I fucked it up so badly because what I did. This was when I was at Northeastern, so like. And Nate Kingsley had told me about this, like that exact program. Mm-hmm. So it's basically it's by this guy named Barry Ross, and it's in a book called Underground Secrets of Sprint Training, I think. Mm-hmm. And what he recommends is like basically the same thing Charlie Francis recommends in terms of sprint training, but like he goes into like sarcolemmal development versus like myofibril development, hypertrophy. Mm-hmm. And so, like, basically, like, if you lift weights for an extended duration, like that enhanced endurance is like the enhanced ability of you to, like, buffer calcium with a bigger sarcolemma. So, like, you have hypertrophied the sarcoplasmic reticulum to be bigger, so you can deliver more calcium, and then you can also on the other side, like, retain more calcium so you can contract for longer, and obviously like there's other, there's enzymatic function and like protein upregulation, all that bullshit that happens that I don't feel like talking about. But like that's a specific, right, like you can hypertrophy that specific thingy. What's up? Was that your brother that walked by?
Yeah.
Oh, my brother is right there. Isn't that cool? So anyways, yeah. And so he talks about like if you lift for too many reps, you can do that. But if you lift for few enough reps, you just get myofibrillar hypertrophy, which is like what he was going after, because it's one, an increase in absolute strength, and two, it was more contractile elements for sprinters so that they could sprint faster, but not weigh more. So like they wouldn't hypertrophy as much as like if you're doing a bodybuilding program. And it was like more nervous system based than muscular based. So basically the program is like you only pull the deadlift to your knees, and you do that, you do like, I think it's like 80 to 95%, 3 days a week, but like you only go like 2 sets.
Only 2 sets?
Yeah, you only go 2 sets each day, like 1 to 2 sets each day. You only go like 3 reps at most each day. At least you go 1, obviously. And then it might be, you know what? I think if he differs it, because I think it's like if you're gonna sprint that day, you do the full. If you haven't sprinted that day, you do half reps. If you have sprinted that day, you do full reps, I believe. So he does that. I really screwed the pooch and decided that I was gonna do all of these sets on one day. Oh, and then you like box jump between each. And I just didn't progress into it at all, and just like jumped into like 6 sets of 2 at like 85% with box jumps between them. And Michelle Boland, God bless that lady's soul, watch me just like die every single day that I did this program at NU. So yeah, I have no idea what we were talking about before this.
Yeah, no, like just on this as well, because you mentioned like the whole thing about like if you sprinted that day, then you should do like half reps. If you haven't, then like you do full reps. Like on that topic, I think like a lot of people, especially athletes, they don't understand like the one thing on this. It's like a bit more like more in depth on this, but it's like say that you're a sprinter, that's then you should not go to the gym and lift weights that day before you've actually sprinted. Like after you've done that training, then you can do that. And if it's like if you train so late that you can't go to the gym and lift weights, then don't lift that day. It's simple because the thing is like the main thing for you is to sprint. So like you should the gym is good for you. It's like that's a beneficial thing. But I feel like a lot of athletes, I can also especially remember myself when I was young. It's like you just go to the gym all the time. It's like I'm gonna go to the gym in the morning, play soccer at night, and then maybe hit another session again or something like that. And it's like you think that all this work is good, but you should instead just like focus mostly on your sport that you're playing, and then if there's time, go to the gym. But if there's no time, you just skip that day. But I think a lot of athletes, and I think that even goes further into it. There's not even youth athletes, like seniors as well. Like it's just people don't really. It's kind of all this thing about, especially I feel like that's the thing too. Why I don't like this whole thing that you always see, like the Bamba mentality with like LeBron James. Like all this bullshit. Like, well, he's not the fucking Bamba mentality, but you get my point, man. It's just like more work isn't that much better, and it's just that's the thing too. It's like why I'm like so like I love the shit that David Goggins preaches, about just going into this dark zone and like recertifying yourself as a savage. But it's like I feel like people, not everybody should do that. People who don't just live regular lives, maybe okay, do that. But I feel like it's not meant for everyone. It's like meant for specific people, like in your specific lifestyles. But that's why I think people get confused and that they're like, oh, I'm gonna show people how tough I am. And I'm gonna post this, like me doing all these things. It's like, maybe not. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think that's like it's like taking little chunks at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because right now, if you think about it, it's like reverse engineering the process. Like if you want to be 20 pounds lighter, because I feel like that's a lot of people's goals right now.
Yeah.
I don't know why beach season's not for another like year. Okay. So far off. If you're me, there's never a beach season. It's all about the strength, baby. Dies inside a little bit. Anyways, so like if you want to lose 20 pounds, right? Like, what could you do right now? You could start dieting. You could drink more water. You could sleep better. You know, you could stop watching TV so much. You could go for walks. You could go to the gym. You know, you could spend more time with loved ones. You could read. Like, you could, you know, you could look up. You could read books about diets. You know, you could learn to cook better. You could learn to meal prep. You know, like, you could do all this stuff, but it's like, wait, stop. What is the easiest thing for you to do right now? Well, like, I put so much sugar and cream in my coffee. Great. Then you know what? I'm actually using my mom as this example, and she's about to walk through the door. So it's like, just don't put that in your coffee. You know, it's like as simple as that.
Yeah, it's true.
So, you know, it's just like, you know, like, that's the simplest thing you can do, right? Then you move to like, okay, what do you eat for breakfast? And they're like, like 17 Pop-Tarts. You're like, okay, eat one Pop-Tart instead of 3. Okay, now eat just that, like, instead of eating the sleeve of Pop-Tarts, eat that one Pop-Tart that's in the sleeve of 2.
Mm.
Save the next one for tomorrow.
Mm.
Then, you know, you're like, okay, now that you like eat breakfast consistently and it's like not as much, just, you know, now eat like a decent breakfast,
Mm.
you know, like do that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, now that you're eating a decent breakfast, you probably feel better for lunch.
Yeah.
You know, and you probably want to eat better things for lunch. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
I used you as an example on the podcast.
Oh, great. Hi, Artem.
Hi, how are you? Well, you can't hear me, but yeah.
Yes, how you are.
I'm super. How are you?
How are you, Artem? Oh, okay.
Glad to hear it.
Dude, 2 times, not even just one.
Now both my parents have been on the podcast. Let's go.
Oh man, dude, this is just messed up, yo.
It's not messed up. It's savage.
Yeah, dude, honestly, man, like, I'm not putting my mom on this podcast, though, again. Not like that, though. Not in that.
Fine. But yeah, like, you know, it's just like simple things, you know, don't get overwhelmed. It's just like, you know, it's just like easy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it should feel almost too easy at the start. So.
Dude, but I think, though, I actually have a question for, like, Jason. I heard your thoughts on this, because I really like this whole thing that Davidson just went on a rant about. Like, he talked about how, as a coach, you should rather start off being super mean and then kind of cut off than being super nice and then like being, you know, a hard ass. Because it's like, if you're super mean in the beginning, but the thing is, like, I feel like, can you do that if you're helping someone with a diet? That's like my thing about this, because I feel like if you're super hard against them in the beginning with the diet, they're not gonna be even wanting to even go immediately into it. But like, if you're kind of nice in the beginning, it's kind of easing them into it, and then you become more maybe of an asshole. You don't even have to, but kind of maybe like making more strict rules with the diet. You know, like, what do you like? Just wanted to, yeah, hear you.
I mean, personally, when I don't do a lot of diet help with people, and it's like stupid general advice whenever I do.
Yeah.
And like, so, and it depends on like who it is, you know, because like I'm super mean to some people, and I'm like super nice to some people, you know, because like, you know, one person I have right now, like, she, you know, like, she loves to eat bagels and carbs, and, you know, like, can't like not eat bagels. And so I'm like, okay, I also try to structure the plan so it like helps them like keep eating some of what they want to eat and then phase that out slowly. So like, I'm like, okay, you're going to train really fucking hard on Mondays and Wednesdays, sometimes Fridays. So you're going to eat carbs in a higher amount on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then, you know, and then like Tuesdays, Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'm like, you're going to eat fewer carbs and you're going to work out fasted and then only give yourself protein and fats afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
which is to induce some form of metabolic flexibility in both like the brain, her fat cells, and her tissue, you know, as like you know, as actual, like, wow, that was brain fart right there. I just can't, as like an actual response to the diet.
Mm.
And you know, like, it's a pretty like blunt force approach. Like, I don't have blood data on her. Like, I just, you know, like, I don't have a glucose monitor, but like, that's just how I roll. And like, if she's like, you know, like, I really want pretzels, I'm like, cool, tomorrow is Wednesday, go buy yourself some pretzels and wait till tomorrow. You know what I mean? And she's like, well, I won't be hungry for pretzels tomorrow. I'm like, sucks. Like, just do it, please. You know? You know, or it's like, you know, or like even like a cheat meal that's like more geared towards your goal. Like last night, she was like, okay, so I'm at the store and I really want chocolate covered pretzels or ice cream. And like, I'm definitely going to have one. So like, you can't stop me. I'm like, all right. And I couldn't stop her because I was here. So I was like, all right, fine. Like, ice cream it is. You know, because like, there's protein in that. Like, yeah, there's fat and like and sugars that like you don't necessarily want to ingest, but like, there's protein in that, you know. And like, also, like, if you say like, okay, buy Halo Top ice cream at least, like, you know, they're literally oriented towards like fitness freaks. So like, you know, they're whether or not they're like selling you cheap like ice cream that they just like put whey protein in or something like that, like, it's still like oriented towards your population.
Yeah.
So you might as well do that, you know. And it's like, it's just stuff like that to me is like, you know, like, little wins like win the big war.
Dude, but honestly, like that, like I've never had Halo Top, but I had this one protein ice cream. It's called Bear Bells here in Sweden. That was probably the shittiest ice cream I've ever had in my life. It was so awful. Like, I don't even think there's any sugar at all, and then just like, it was just plain shit. Like, I'm never having it again. So, but like I said, I've never had Halo Top, so I can't really say shit about it. I imagine it must be good. I mean, at least better. It can't get worse than that thing. That's the thing too. I feel like that it's hard, like with these things, where it's like, because as soon as you take out the sugar out of the equation, it's like, you at least you've been eating ice cream, you know, just regular ice cream for your entire life, and then you go and try and buy ice cream that's supposed to be healthy for you. Man, you're about to have some unpleasant experiences, my friend. Like, it's not fun, but you know, it's, that's just, it's not for me, man. Like, I don't know. I would go with the chocolate pretzels instead.
Yeah.
Fuck what do you say, man?
I don't know. I have a question for you.
Oh, please don't ask.
Okay. So if, like, what do you think about Davidson's thing about being mean to people and then eventually like easing up on them?
See, the thing is, like, I like it, and I agree with it, because reason also, like, why I'm like, because I'm gonna start coaching, you know, like little girls, like 16, 17-year-olds for soccer in November now.
Dear God.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. But the thing is, like, I looked at it, like, I swear to God, like, I hope one day they actually listen to this podcast when I'm doing a podcast. They can this, but I went to one practice, like, just to see like how it looks, and like, they have so much attitude, so much. The best thing of all, remember, it was at the end where the coach said, "Okay, everybody's gonna cool down." The coach says, "If you guys get, like, everybody's gonna cool down."
Yeah.
This girl goes to one of the girls. She's like, "Are you gonna cool down?" And I'm like, kind of like, "The fuck do you mean you're going to asking her? Like, everybody's cooling down. Why are you asking her? Are you gonna cool down?" Fuck yes, she's cooling down. Like, nobody's getting away from it. So it's like, that's why I'm like, you know, because the worst thing I know is like the parents, and that's like the biggest issue might be. But the thing is, like, I'm not gonna go and like be super dude, like, nice to them, because I feel like if I'm doing that, they're just gonna walk all over me, and it's just gonna be a shit show. So I'm also not gonna be a complete asshole, but I'm gonna, you know, set some rules, and then kind of smile a bit at some points, but I'm also gonna like immediately go back to being fully serious. And it might be hard for me because I'm just like always such a like smiling guy, you know. But I feel like with them, at least in the beginning, I need to do that because otherwise it's gonna be one awful season. Like I'm just gonna have to deal with this shit. You know? You have to kind of set some structures. After that is done, then it's like, you know, you can ease off a little bit. And especially I like it because I agree with him in saying that if you're an asshole first and you go away, it's like they want more of that. It's like the Pavlov effect, you know. It's like they kind of, it's over that. But if you're nice and then go become an asshole, they're like, oh, what the fuck, yo? You're not like this usually. So it's now they're getting pissed at you. So it's like it's better to just be mean immediately.
Yeah.
And ease off. I feel, not gonna lie, when he talked about this, I thought about you because I feel like you do this.
I feel like I don't.
You can correct me if you're wrong. Like, from my own perspective of you, you do this, but I might be completely off.
Okay. Have we told the story of how we met on this podcast yet? I feel like we have.
I feel we've done it like 2 or 3 times, but you can repeat it if you want to.
Well, because like I was a huge dick to you when we first met each other, and like, and I mean, I think I do that I think I just come off that way to people in general, and then if they stick around, they like realize that I actually do not mean to do that. It just happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. Because, you know, with iron sports, sometimes I feel like I actually am like too. Oh boy. Oh, this is not good. Well, this is probably going to be the end of the podcast. It's probably frozen. But I'm just going to keep talking like he's here. So, you know, with iron sports, I feel like sometimes I'm just a little too, a little too lax, I guess, you know, because sometimes, you know, I just let them do whatever the fuck they want to do, you know. At the end, though. They want to get, like, extra in, then they can get extra in. And, yeah, you know, that's kind of how it is. And then, you know, I just kind of give them late penalties. If they're late, then they do 50 burpees. And usually we did, you know, like team lunges, but I feel like that's stupid because it, you know, kind of messes everyone up as opposed to just the person who was late. You know, we're not really a team. It's just like powerlifting. So, you know. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel like sometimes, you know, and I'm